I'm gonna go into some details about the double under press. The double under press, I mean, double under press for me is when my arms are under his leg. Both of my arms are under his legs. Now, the first time in my life I saw the double under press was just controlling the legs and getting your hands together. Well, this is not the most economic way to do it. I like this position because it allows you to rest. It's very difficult for him to move, and it allows you to think about your options. It doesn't matter which guy is in front of you, or how strong he is, or his level. Everybody which you catch his legs here and you wait here, is going to have a hard time getting out. Doesn't matter. But I can tell some story about that. When I was a blue belt, once in my life I defeated a black belt man just by grabbing here, waiting all the time, and of course having some scramble. And in the end, he put his hip up. I just pushed him over, he came back to guard. I scored an advantage. I grab again, and I won by advantage. Which, of course, is not something to be proud of because I mean he was stalling, but you know, who doesn't stall in a fight for a few seconds from time to time? It's a good strategy to use sometimes.
And the basic idea is that it's a position hard to defend, even if you're a black belt against a guy with a lot less experience. I think that's the point.
Idea. Yes. Well, now I want to talk about some details about the double under press. Now, the first thing I aim for is always to put his knees on the ground back of him. And there's a few ways to do it. The first way would be to put my hands like this. I open my thumb and my fingers, and I put them inside his knee. Here, I would always close my elbows because if I leave them open, it's easier for him to put his hooks inside. Just basic jiu-jitsu, keep your elbows tight. It also allows me to give pressure in the line of my arm, straight to the ground. Look here, I'm going to use my legs, not my arms, to push his knees to the ground. I'm going to push, the moment his knees are on the ground, I come close, squeeze my knees together, and put my back straight. If I make myself small, Felipe can lean into me, and I will fall. If I push with my back, push to me right now, I'm very comfortable. So this will be the first drill. I grab inside his knees, I push to the floor, I come close, squeeze my knees together, make my back straight, push my hip to the front. These together, like this. There's a few ways to get to this position. The main thing is just to push. You can push it with your hands. Another option would be, if I'm already close, and now instead of my hands, I would use my shoulders. Here, look, I'm going to put my hands as far away as possible from the floor. And now to raise Felipe's hip, I'm going to put my knees together, my toes on the mat, and I'm going to use my knees to walk his back up. Once I'm here, I open my knees, squeeze them together, arch my back, and close everything. Once more. Squeeze together and back straight. Now look, when you do this, when you try to put his knees on the floor, many people are going to try already to walk away. And thus the legs are coming back. All I want to do when I'm close, I want to maintain what I got. And I can do this by grabbing the gi and bring myself closer. If you try to walk away now, it's difficult. And here we can wait for a moment for him to relax his leg. When he keeps pushing me, I have to do something else. But the moment he relaxes for a second or makes himself small, then is the moment I put my hands far on the floor and straighten my hip. Put my toes on the floor, walk, and come back to this position. Okay? Maybe those. Now look, doesn't matter, for some way or another you will end up in this position. Now look, it's important for me to keep my knees up on the floor because it gives me more mobility. And when I'm here, I'm going to look to his arms. When his arms are open, it's easier for me to do the drill. When his arm is open, I'm going to put my knee over his one shoulder. The idea is to do it without hands, just that, but if you're comfortable with this, it would be okay to maybe even block the arm, put your hand on the floor and step your knee over. This position. On this position, look, I want to keep my opponent from moving his hip. I don't want him to push back. I don't want him to roll over. I just want to maintain what I got. I don't want to create anything else. My knee, my outside knee here, is also used to keep his hip on the spot. If my foot is too far outside, my opponent can put his hip down again. So I want to squeeze my knees together and give pressure with my body. I think it's good to practice this without using your hands, just to get a feeling with your body itself. But it's also obviously no problem just to control the knee, to control the hip. You can always use your hands to help the position. I'm going to show from a different angle. So we push the knees to the floor. I got up. Leg straight, knees together. I step over the arm. Put my foot a little bit closer and squeeze my knees together. At the same time, giving pressure with my chest. This position. Now from here, there is two options which I'm going to show in the next video. This position, where you put the knees of the opponent on the floor, is not something I'll get very often. But I do it for two reasons. If I only aim for being here, I'm most of the time going to end up here. If I aim for being completely there, I'm most of the time going to end up here. And there's always a case where you manage to put his knees on the floor, where you need to be able to know what you have to do in that position. Another reason is, it's very good for my students to learn them the importance of keeping a straight back. The basic thing that everybody does when you're on a double under is just clearing the legs. And the first thing, it seems something against an inexperienced opponent, it's something very easy to clear the legs and pass the side control. But an experienced opponent will always use it to get the leg back out and go for your back, or at least getting back into guard. Now look, when you're here, I push my legs here and I step over. And in this position, for here, it's very clear for a student to see why I should not be leaning forward. Because if I lean forward here and use my body to push, I will fall. While here, a guy is strong enough, but I'm strong, I can maintain his legs and I can crawl out and get a bit beside. On our position, it's much clearer why it's important to keep it straight back. So that's the reason why I show this. I push the knees to the floor, get close, step over. Look here, my hands can help, but I'm gonna use only my hip to go to side control. When I'm here, look, I'm gonna push my hip completely to the floor and my knees as well. When I'm here, look, try to go back to the guard. It'll be very difficult for him. When I lean back, let him go in, and he recovers the guard. But when I push my hip, try to get in, it's much more difficult for him. And here, depends a little bit what you want. You can control either the leg. I like personally control the leg, put my elbow over, put the elbows in the armpit, and switch to reverse side control. But you might as well from here, push, put your hands to the floor, and go to regular side control. I'm going to show from a different angle, from the back side. Push the knees to the floor, step over the arm, I'm here, I push my hip, completely straight, I slide my knee down to the floor, and I pass to reverse side control. Okay. The one I just showed is the one I'm always going to aim first when his knees are on the ground, because it's a good drill to learn posture and because it's the safest option. Look, when I push his knees to the floor now, and here, step over, look, his movement is going to dictate what I'm going to do. If he does not move, I always go for the first one pushing the hip. That people might start to anticipate and move the hip closer to me. If my posture would be better right now, he can use it to push me over and I'll lose the position. Look, when I'm here and I push my hip and my opponent starts pushing me, it gives the space here underneath his neck. I use this always to go for the back. My hand on the outside, I'm going to put it around his neck, and my other hand I take under the armpit. And here, arms, I only use my hands and put them like this, flat on each other, and I bend my fingers. So this is what people most of the time call lasso control or seatbelt position. From here, I push, put my weight on the shoulder and push it in the ground, switch my legs, put my knee underneath, and up here, squeeze my knees together. From here, there are a lot of details how you can get a guard. The basic thing for me would be squeeze my knees together, move my bottom leg in the hip, tilt this hip a little bit, escape my other leg, put it inside, and remain on the back. Push my hip, push it back, put my knee on the ground, put the seat up, switch my hips, put my knee in the hole, which is underneath his hip, pull my opponent towards me, push with my hip, trap his hip between my both legs. And look here, when I enter the hook, I never make a wide angle, because this allows him to get his arm underneath, and I get stuck. For me, it's better to squeeze my knees together and only use the bottom part of my leg, my other leg. Squeeze together, put the hook inside. Use this hook to move the opponent's hip. You can release your leg, get it out, put the hook in, and get together. Sometimes I like to get the leg out as well to stop my opponent from turning towards me. Okay, look. When you're fighting, your opponent almost never, experienced opponent almost never gonna allow you to put his knees on the ground. Most of the time, when you push, when you start to walk backwards and push the hips towards you. Okay? And this would be like the worst for me to end up. Before he gets his legs completely straight, he always has to pass the middle line. And this is where I'm gonna trap him right now. Actually, my goal is actually always to get his legs like 90 degrees or a little bit less. Right? By aiming for this one, he walks away. I usually end up having his legs trapped in the middle. Through the streets positions, this one, and close here. Now I'm talking about this part. Now look, I could connect straight away to the first part, but I think it's easier for someone to learn first, standing from open guard. From here, look, I control his knees and I push one knee to the side. What I'm aiming for is putting, of course, one knee to the side like I just told, and getting the leg, the top leg, I want to have it in one line with his body. See? I don't want it to be open, I don't want it to be closed, I want it to be exactly here. His hips, 90 degrees, and get it stuck here. Okay? So, I control his knees, I push one on the ground, I go with my other arm underneath the leg, I grab the knee. This can be here, here. Doesn't really matter. There's a lot of options which are good. What I like now lately is grabbing over, but it's a little bit more difficult because you need the elbow inside. That's actually the main thing. Always keep the elbow inside. You can even use it for grappling without getting a grip. The other hand here, once the leg is pushed down, it's safer to put your hand on the floor because I always pull you into the triangle. If you push down, it's easier. Now look, here, I keep my back straight. I'll come close and step my inside leg over his bottom leg. Here, I'm going to be straight. I'm not going to be turning, I'm going to be trying to be exactly straight here, with my back as straight as possible. Don't give pressure, and most important, I don't lean backward. If I lean backward, push me out. This would be the first drill. I'm here, put his knee on the ground, grab whatever I can get, put his leg in one line with his body, come close, step over, grab and maintain the position. On the side. And sometimes, depending on the size of your opponent, you can even put one leg up. As long as you keep it squeezed, it's okay. Friendly. On the side. Like this, okay. It doesn't really matter as long as your body is straight and the leg is parallel to the body. So, And up in this position, I push his knee to the floor, I step over, I secure the grips, get myself heavy on him. Look, here I have two basic options. One is getting close, pull it around the head, sit out, control the knee, side control. Another option is pedal the other way, make myself heavy, control the leg, go to the other side. Now, like I have two options to attack, my opponent has two options to defend. He can either make himself very small. When he makes himself small, he gives himself the opportunity to escape his hip to the outside, and using the hip as leverage to pull me out, push me outside. And me, at the very least, I'm going to lose the position and have to restart from guard. Another option would be for him to move his body far away to the outside and start pushing his hip. At the same time, leads to him my elbow opening and then get his leg out. I have two options, my opponent has two options, and it's experienced, two experienced Jiu-Jitsu fighters. It's only going to be a game. Which one of the two is going to have? Which one of the two is going to be able to use his technique? So we look. The technique now would be for me. Look, I get everything and I give pressure, and I'm going to aim a little bit for the first. I'm going to push my shoulder. When I do this, most of the time my opponent is going to get small. When I get small, bring myself close, try to escape again. Now it's getting difficult. Now in this moment, I'm going to catch it around the head and sit out. Control the knee. First of all, to grab around the head when my opponent gets small. I can also choose to threaten with this one by making it look like I'm going near. Most of the time my opponent will start making a motion with his shoulders to his upper body to the outside. When this happens, I cross my grip with my thumb up and I get my elbow close. And look, now it's very important to keep your back straight, and I always try to make sure his leg does not move. When I move, I give him the option to push his leg out or push my elbow out. With my elbow, I bring my elbow to my body and squeeze his leg towards my body, and my head gives pressure to the outside. Try to move the leg now. It will be very difficult for him to move the leg. Once I'm here, I'm going to use my inside hand to pull the collar and put my hand closer towards his neck, which sometimes can lead him to give a little bit of pressure on his neck. My free hand now is going to come to the knee, get my leg out, and I start walking my hand closer to his hip, or even putting it under. The main thing from this hand, why I use it for is to block my opponent from getting his leg inside again. Even if that happens, you can push it down again, get your hip out again. When I'm underneath, look, I'm trying to get a very wide base. See? I put my left leg straight completely, and I try to get his leg here on the same spot and pushing my hip to the front. I don't do this. I don't lean backwards because here we can escape. Like this kind. I make myself heavy by not touching the floor except with my feet, my hand. I get straight. And here I start walking. Once I'm to the side, I'm going to look to the ceiling and push my knee to the front. Once I'm here, I get close again. Now we're going to complete the double under pass. The things I talked about now are two starts where I have the advanced position, either the knees on the ground or the legs halfway. Now what also can happen is, when I push his knees to the ground, or when I go for the second part, his reaction is always going to be walking away and making himself heavy on my arms. If he raises his hip now a little bit, even though I'm much heavier than Felipe, it's going to be almost impossible, or either way, very difficult for me to put his hip up. This can even get worse when he walks away and puts his hooks inside. Or both hooks. And when I'm going to talk about this, the details I'm going to use to clear the hooks and then do the pass, it also works when his hooks are already out and just can go straight for the pass. And I want to only talk about the most difficult part. Okay, let's turn. So, I I aim for the first one. My opponent walks backward, makes himself heavy on my arms, and puts the both legs inside. If my opponent here manages to stretch one or both legs, this can lead sometimes to a lock of my arms, which is dangerous. So my main thing for you would be to make myself small and close by. Here. The first thing I'm going to do now is straighten one leg. When I straighten it, try to follow my leg. My arm here is going to block me from following me again. I just like to sprawl, try to follow, and put my head and hip on the floor. Once I'm here, I'm going to move my hip to the other side, put my foot flat on the floor, and move my foot inside. Sometimes I still manage to grab inside my other leg. You use your hook to clear the leg, and get my leg on the knee, and here it's difficult for him to recover the position. Once I'm on this side here, I'm going to use my upper arm, my left arm, to push his leg up, and getting myself in this position again, which puts me very good for the second pass I showed just now, or I can transition again to the position where I'm exactly in the middle of the two options. When you're inside, when your opponent puts his hooks inside, I always see I have one option, which is to clear the hook, straighten it back, twisting my hip, and try to threaten for the pass. Now look here, it's not always certain I'm going to be able to push his leg upwards. Most of the times, I'm going to push the leg back down again, and it makes me very difficult. Now, sometimes while I'm fighting, it's actually still, it requires a lot of strength and energy from me, but sometimes it's still an option when I'm stronger to push the leg backwards. It's not a risk, but it's very tiring. When the opponent is much stronger and walk backward, and it's impossible for me, then I choose to step over the leg, get my hand out, put my head on his hip, control the knee, and look here, I'm not heavy, but when I raise my hip, I put my toes on the floor, raise my hip, here make myself very heavy on him. I can start to walk, get my leg out, switch my hip, put the knee back in, and go for side control. So both hooks are in. Straighten my hip, turn my hip, give pressure with my elbow, clear my leg, try to put the leg up. He puts it down again and raises his hip. Makes it too heavy for me to get it back up. I step over, make myself small, get my left arm out. Look here, if I open my elbow, you can always hold me back. So I close my elbow, change my head. Because look, when I'm facing outside, it's easy for him to push my head to the floor. When I'm facing inside, it's much more difficult. But still here he can push, look, because there's no weight on my head. When I put my toes on the ground, and even can try to get this hook, doesn't really matter, I raise my hip, and I put all my weight on my shoulder. And you can start walking, get my leg out. Look, I never lay down because here, I make myself light. I try to stay heavy, put my leg back, arm over, push my hip, and walk around.